The mission. The sun dipped low behind the Wyoming hills, painting the frontier sky in blood-orange hues as a lone rider approached the valley. His name was Wyatt, a half-Cheyenne, half-white tracker with a past buried in fire and betrayal. He rode without a sound, his rifle slung across his back, his tomahawk hanging loosely at his side. The horse beneath him moved with caution, as if it too sensed the weight of the mission. The target was simple, a settler homestead nestled in the middle of nowhere. No law, no neighbors, no chance for survivors. "Burn it," the war chief had said. "Teach them to stay off sacred land." Wyatt hadn't asked questions. He had no reason to. Settlers had taken everything from his mother's people, land, dignity, even life. And for that, he had learned to silence his own conscience. A mission was a mission. As dusk turned to night, he reached the top of a ridge and looked down. There it was, just like the scout had described. A wooden cabin with a thin wisp of smoke curling from the chimney. A corral with 2 horses. A vegetable patch. No guards. No fences. Just one quiet life about to end. He waited till darkness swallowed the land, then approached in silence. The cabin door was slightly ajar. No voices. No laughter. No dogs barking. Wyatt stepped inside, expecting to find a family at dinner or asleep in bed. Instead, the air was filled with silence, and the sharp iron scent of dried blood. His eyes adjusted to the dark. A man and woman lay on the ground, cold, stiff, and lifeless. Their eyes were open, frozen in terror. Flies buzzed around. "Too late," Wyatt whispered, crouching beside them. "Someone beat me to it." The job was supposed to be destruction, but someone else had already delivered death. Someone fast. Someone brutal. He glanced at the knife wounds. Not from his people. Not from raiders. These were surgical. Clean. Professional. He rose quickly and scanned the cabin. Then he heard it, a faint creak from upstairs. Wyatt moved silently to the ladder that led to the loft. He climbed slowly, heart thumping. He expected a hidden thief, maybe even a killer left behind. But what he saw froze him. 2 girls, no older than 8 and 10, huddled together under a patchwork quilt. Pale, terrified, and alone. The older one clutched a rusted kitchen knife. Her hands trembled. "You're not gonna kill us, are you?" The words hit Wyatt like a tomahawk to the chest. He said nothing, just stared. "No more noise, Lucy," the older one whispered to her sister. "If he's gonna do it, let him do it quick." Wyatt blinked. His fingers loosened on the tomahawk's grip. Everything about his mission faded like smoke. These girls weren't his enemy. They were children. Alone. Orphaned. The younger one, Lucy, peeked from beneath the blanket, eyes wide with tears. "Mama said angels come for good girls," she whispered. "You an angel." Wyatt looked down at his bloody hands, the weapons on his back, and felt something in him twist, something long buried. "No," he said hoarsely. "I'm not." Then, without thinking, he knelt. "You hungry?" he asked. The girls hesitated. He reached into his pouch and pulled out a bit of jerky. Slowly, he placed it on the edge of the loft, then backed away. The older one, Rachel, still held the knife tight. "You killed them?" she asked. "My mama and papa." Wyatt shook his head. "No. I came here to scare them away. But someone else did this. You see anything?" Rachel didn't reply, but her eyes flickered with memory. Painful memory. 3 men, she whispered after a pause. They came yesterday. Said Pa owed them money. But he didn't. Mama screamed. They... She choked. Lucy began to sob silently beside her. Wyatt closed his eyes. He knew the kind. Bounty hunters, or worse, men who thrived in lawless lands, preying on the weak. They'd be back. He stood up, scanned the cabin. It wasn't safe. You can't stay here, he said. We got nowhere else, Rachel replied, defiance blooming in her voice. You stay, they'll kill you too. Then let them, she snapped. Ain't got nothing left anyway. Wyatt felt something rise in his chest, a storm of guilt and anger. He had come to burn a home, but found ashes already. He had come to kill, but saw instead 2 lives dangling between terror and death. No, not this time. Pack what you need, he said firmly. You're coming with me. Rachel's eyes widened. Why? Because I said. Why would you help us? He turned away. Maybe it's time I stop destroying and start saving. The words didn't feel natural on his tongue, but once spoken, they became real. He gave them 20 minutes to pack. Then they rode into the night, the past burning behind them, the future uncertain. But for the first time in Wyatt's life, he wasn't running toward blood. He was running from it. What he did for them. The 3 rode hard into the mountains, the moon casting pale silver over the rocks and trees. Wyatt kept them off the main trails, leading the girls through narrow passes, thick pine forests, and along cold streams. He didn't speak unless he had to, but every time he looked back and saw the sisters huddled together on the horse behind him, eyes still swollen from crying, something in him broke a little more. They reached a hollow deep in the woods by the 3rd day. A forgotten hunting shelter stood there, just 4 walls and a roof, but safer than open ground. Wyatt started a small fire, skinned a rabbit, and handed over warm food. He fixed Lucy's torn shoes, braided Rachel's hair when it became a tangle, and made them laugh once, just once, by mimicking a grumpy beaver. But at night, when the girls slept, Wyatt sat by the fire and stared into the flames. The mission that brought him here had crumbled. The vengeance that had fueled him now felt like rot in his bones. He had been raised to believe in retribution. But these girls, they had changed something inside him. On the 5th morning, Rachel asked the question he'd been dreading. Are you gonna leave us? Wyatt met her gaze. No. I'll stay. Forever. He paused. Long as you need. She nodded, almost satisfied, and walked back to help Lucy brush her hair with a pine branch. But trouble was already coming. That same evening, as Wyatt tracked deer prints near the stream, he found something else, boot marks. 3 sets. 1 heavy with a dragging foot. 1 narrow with a square heel. They were fresh. Too fresh. They'd found them. Wyatt returned quickly to the cabin, face grim. The girls were picking wild berries, smiling for the first time in days. Inside, he said sharply. Now. Rachel's eyes widened. What is it? Trouble. They obeyed without argument. Wyatt handed Rachel the knife again. If anything happens, he said, kneeling in front of her, you hide with Lucy. You don't move. Don't speak. You only come out when you hear my voice say, Spring water runs north. Got it? She nodded, clutching the blade. Then he vanished into the trees. The attackers came at dusk, just as Wyatt expected. 3 of them. Just like Rachel said. Hardened men, sneering, confident, with rifles drawn and spurs jingling. Where's the redskin? One spat. We tracked them here. Wyatt had set the trap perfectly. The first man tripped a wire hidden in leaves, triggering a rockslide that sent him sprawling, his rifle snapping under the weight of falling stones. The second turned, confused, and Waya dropped from the trees, tomahawk in hand. The fight was brutal. Fast. Waya moved like wind over fire. No hesitation, no mercy. These were not men who could be reasoned with. They were butchers, and he would give them the justice they'd escaped. When the last one fell, wounded but breathing, Waya stood over him. "You killed a family," Waya said. The man laughed, even through the blood in his mouth. "They owed us." "No one owed you their daughters." The man sneered. "You protecting em now? What are you?" "Their daddy." "No," Waya said coldly. "I'm their shield." And he walked away. The wounded man didn't laugh anymore. Back at the shelter, Rachel and Lucy were huddled in the corner, blades of grass woven in their hair, tear tracks on their cheeks. When Waya entered and said, "Spring water runs north," Rachel burst into sobs and threw herself into his arms. "You came back," she whispered. "Promised I would." Lucy clung to his leg. Waya didn't speak of the fight. He cleaned himself, stitched his arm where a bullet grazed, and then he sat beside them in the quiet. That night, something changed again. Rachel handed him a bundle. Inside was her father's journal. Inside were pages of drawings, notes, hopes for a better life on the frontier. The last page was a prayer. "Protect them," it read. "If not by my hand, then by another." Waya closed the book and felt tears sting his eyes. "I'll take care of you," he said. "Not for a day. Not for a week. For as long as you'll have me." Rachel looked up at him, blinking. "Even when we're older. Especially then." Weeks passed. Then months. Waya built a new cabin, stronger than the last. He taught the girls to fish, to shoot, to ride. He carved Lucy a flute and made Rachel a necklace of silver and turquoise. When the snow came, he told them stories of the stars and the spirits. When spring returned, they planted a garden on the hill. And slowly, people began to speak of a strange man in the mountains, a scarred warrior raising 2 settler girls like his own. A man who had once been feared, but now was whispered about with respect. One day, a traveler asked him why he stayed. "They were left with nothing," Waya said. "So I gave them everything I had." And what he had given, shelter, protection, love, was more than any bullet or blade could ever take away. Because in saving them, he had saved himself.